On the topic of social pensions, which were not adjusted to the cost of living for January 2019, we inform you in our press conference last week on Thursday, January the 17th, 2019. After the press conference, the following development took place. As follow-up to the meeting we had at the Ombudsman on Wednesday, January the 16th, where we protested the decision published of the Minister of VSR in his letter of November to SZV not to adjust the social pensions, as well as the decision of the Minister of Fiat and the Stat not to publish consumer price indices for 2018, our email on that same day was answered by the Secretary General of the Ombudsman, and in that, we requested the Ombudsman to investigate the non-compliance with existing legislation, which has resulted in the non-indexation of social premiums and pensions per January the 1st. In his answer, the Secretary General of the Ombudsman recommended us to submit our concerns regarding the non-indexation of the social pensions in writing to the Minister of VSR and allow him 30 days to respond. And in event no response is received, we could file a complaint by the Ombudsman. On Sunday, January the 20th, we replied to the Secretary General of the Ombudsman and informed him in details of correspondence we had with the SZV management, Stat management, press releases from SZV, and from the cabinet of the Minister of VSR. We quote what we wrote. Rather than us engaging in more correspondence back and forth with the Minister of VSR, isn't it in the interest of society and recommendable that the Ombudsman starts a systematic investigation in the whole decision-making process concerning the indexation of social pensions and how government goes about ordinance Parliament has adopted to be executed? It will be something recommendable for the Ombudsman. When they can come up with recommendations to present decisions of non-compliance with national ordinances. We share with Secretary General of the Ombudsman some questions for their investigation and ask his recommendation on second thought based on our reply. The Ministry of Fiat on Sunday, January 20th, issued a press release on the introduction of the new system to calculate price indexes. We repeat here a quote in the press release of what Minister of Fiat, Stuart Johnson, said. In recognizing the concerns of some members of the community, the Fiat will participate in a scheduled task force meeting this week and will assist in coming to the solution with the Ministry of VSR regarding this matter collectively as government. In Oral Gibbs Live on Tuesday evening, January the 22nd, as coordinators of the anti-poverty platform, we were invited for an in-depth interview with Oral Gibbs. Cabinet staff of the Ministry of VSR called us on Tuesday afternoon, January the 22nd, to invite us as coordinators of the anti-poverty platform for a meeting with the Minister of VSR, Emily, on the following day, Wednesday, at 12 noon. The meeting started 45 minutes later than originally scheduled. In the press release issued by the Cabinet of VSR a week before, on Sunday, January the 12th, then, it was stated that the ministry will invite platform and coalition representatives to discuss the concern. Well, in the 50 minutes left, we could not discuss our concerns. The Ministry of VSI informed us that we already knew from the press releases published on this issue. The Minister of VSI wanted to make it clear that the social pension will be adjusted to the cost of living, even if it has to be readjusted retroactively, but that the civil servants were busy to come up with a percentage which had to be within the legal possibility. So technically the adjustment could not be made, and once could be made payable with retroactive force until January 2019. So once the technocrats were finished with their work, is what would happen. But the minister could not say as yet when the adjustment would be paid. We asked the minister to put all that he had said in writing and send it for us to share with our affiliate organizations in the platform before Friday, as a meeting was called with all the unions affiliated to the Windward Island Chamber of Labor Unions.
Tell them, connecting you.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Is a report on our first meeting of the task force that's been assembled to review the 2019 AOV AWW indexation. This task force, as I mentioned last week, would be assembled to review the indexation. We met already this past Monday. And as I've mentioned before, the concern surrounding the lack of indexation definitely has the attention of the ministry and myself. I understand that in these times, it may feel like concerns of the most vulnerable groups in our community may go unheard by government, but I assure you, this is certainly not the case. And I would like to take this moment to recognize platforms such as the St. Martin Anti-Poverty Platform and the St. Martin Consumers Coalition that continue to advocate on behalf of these groups, and in our case, our pensioners. The task force met, as I mentioned, this past Monday. Representatives included myself as minister, members of the cabinet of the minister, the Secretary General of VSI, as well as the Department of Social Development, the Department of Stats from the Ministry of TIAT, as well as someone from Judicial Affairs and Legislation to provide legislative assistance and guidance. The objective of the task force is to review the indexation process from all angles, from a social, legal, and execution perspective, and to ensure that a workable solution that complies with all of the laws would be put in place. The meeting was productive, and I believe certainly a step in the right direction. We first collectively reviewed what the situation was and how we arrived at where we are today. This being unable to index the AOV AWW amounts due to the fact that there were no 2018 Consumer Price Index numbers, because none were and will be published, as TIAT confirmed in an earlier press release this week. Just to give a little bit of a technical explanation as to what happened, and that this isn't an incident where government just didn't do what it had to do. There's a real technical explanation for this. The Consumer Price Index, especially for the AOV and AWW, is calculated from the months of August to August. So in order to calculate this, we would need numbers per month. So the Consumer Price Index is calculated on a monthly basis and then averaged over the period of a year from August to August. Again, and this is based on legislation. But based on changes to the basket of goods, so in other words, the Stats Department uses a basket of items that they go out on a monthly basis, and they measure the prices of these to see what inflation has done to the prices of those goods. Based on that, they make a calculation in terms of what happens, how you calculate the Consumer Price Index. That basket of goods changed as of January 1. So in order to update that basket to make it more relevant to our community, that basket of goods was changed. In addition to that, there were technical changes, meaning that the software program that was used to calculate the Consumer Price Index also changed. So not only the basket of goods, but also the methodology in terms of how it was calculated. And so this left really the Stats Department with a technical issue in terms of how would they produce a reliable and valid Consumer Price Index number. And so that's something that the task force is working on. And while I think we all certainly recognize that there's a need to index these numbers, we also, unfortunately or fortunately, we are bound by legislation. Some of our legislation needs to change. We all know that, and throughout all of the ministries, I think we bump up against legislation that's just out of date and in need of revision. But that's a whole process in itself. So I understand that the platforms have made their own suggestions and recommendations as to what this index number should be, but of utmost importance is that we need to review this matter and make sure, as I've mentioned, that it's done according to legislation, and that all short and long-term implications for all parties are also taken into account. As I've mentioned, it was a productive meeting, and I'm pleased to see that all parties have come together with a proactive approach. I think certainly all the people around the table, the interest is to find a solution, and I'm very proud of the group that's been put together. They're all working not to find obstacles to a solution, but how do we solve the problem. I'd like to make it clear at this time, no definitive decision has been made as of yet. We are working diligently. I hope to have something on the short term. The task force is going to meet again. We already have our homework from our first meeting, and we should regroup, if not by the end of the week, by early next week. We've also scheduled a meeting with the platform representatives later today just to update them on the progress that we've made. Should the outcome be that indexation of the amounts would take place for 2019, the idea is that it would be done retroactively as per January 1st.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy? I hear just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Viv now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact Wib today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Wynwood Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Who you're for.
The airport structure has been assessed post-hurricane. The need for repairs and reconstruction have been determined and planned in phases. Has a report been submitted of the total damages post-Irma and Maria? Is this available? If not, if it's not available today, please make it available to the Parliament of St. Martin as soon as possible. Madam Chair Lady, several phases have been planned. Parliament would also like to know, I would like to request on behalf of Parliament, what will be done per phase and how much each phase is expected to cost. It has also been reported, Madam Chair Lady, that the insurance companies were paid out some 58 million to the bondholders. I would like to know if this is accurate. Reports also state that the bondholders have asked for a guarantee letter from government to release those funds in order for the PGIA to start its reconstruction. Is this also accurate? And if yes, I have not heard anything about this in the presentation, so I assume this was not granted if it was requested. Why then has this request not been granted? Madam Chair, those same funds that are being held by the bonds holders, what exactly will these funds be used for? Who are actually the owners of these funds as have been received from the insurance company? Has any funds been paid from the bondholders or released from the bondholders to the airport to date? Based on the presentations made by the airport in November 2018, as I mentioned in my notifications, Madam Chair, where we are still waiting for responses, it appears that the airport had already made the choice on one of its pages to accept option one, as was presented here today, which was a partial loan/grant to cover the 100 million gap needed for the reconstruction, and that the bondholders questioned how the airport would handle its liquidity in order to guarantee the operations during this period. They had also been granted a third waiver, which was scheduled to expire February 1st, so within 10 days, without the issue being, so what is then the repercussions if this waiver is expired within the next couple of days prior to this situation being resolved? I have also not heard anything about that in the presentation. Madam Chair, also from the media reports, as well as from the Prime Minister's presentation just a few minutes ago, it is clear that the airport has accepted the last proposal, though the option 1 that was presented back then did not have the conditions that have been attached. Those conditions, I believe, is what everybody's concerned about. In fact, a few weeks ago during the IPCO, in making my statements, it was that I was alluding to when I mentioned and therefore raised the ire of certain Dutch members of parliament in talking about the people of St. Martin feeling as if that there is a takeover in place. Yes, I did get to speak at IPCO, as was my right. So, make me lose my train. The original conditions, as was mentioned by, I believe, at least one other speaker before me, when receiving and accepting the 550 million assistance, had already been deemed by many within the society, and definitely by myself, as improper conditions being imposed on this country. But they were taken under duress and under the stress of the need for the funds, seeing the conditions we were in post-Hurricane Irma and Maria. Because this country needs to rebuild stronger than it was before, seeing the present conditions of our society, our environment, and the possibility of similar or even stronger storms reaching our shores. My question was, originally, prior to your presentation, what exactly are these conditions? Because 3 are mentioned, but it's still not clear exactly what the terms of these conditions are. So for now, I would like to know more specifically what these conditions entail and what it would mean for all involved. In answering the question who they were proposed by, because that was my question, the Prime Minister, Madam Chair, in her presentation stated that it was indeed she who proposed it. The Prime Minister herself said this, unless I misunderstood.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
1,
2,
3,
4. This is how common it is to develop a mental illness. 1 out of every 4.
4,
4.
4. But there is hope. Today, most mental illnesses can be managed and treated. Visit your general doctor if you feel concerned about your thoughts and behaviors or have some difficulty dealing with some of life's issues.
If you have been diagnosed and are suffering from a mental illness, keep in mind these 4 points to help you manage your mental health.
1. Get regular checkups with your general doctor.
2. Stay on your treatment plan to prevent relapses.
3. Find a strong support group in your family and friends.
And 4. Never be afraid to ask for help and look out for the warning signs of your illness.
Remember, you are not alone. We are as close as one.
2.
3.
4.
Learn about mental health illness by going to the Mental Health Foundation's website at www.mhf-sxm.com.
Man, but it's gonna be a wonderful night. It's gonna be entertaining and looking forward. You know, definitely looking forward. So everybody come out, support the music. Yeah, man, and that's all I can say for now. may the best man win, best man or best woman win. For me, it's, competition is cool, but for me, it's more about the music, getting the music out there as a collective, St. Martin on a whole. You know what I mean? No one man can make it. We all going to make it together. That's most important for me. So, support. I can't complain to an extent, you know what I mean? The money ain't there yet. A lot of times we hit outside markets. We self-investing, we self-buying our own tickets, putting our own selves up in hotel and so forth. I got to big up the tourist office, though. They've been supportive of the artists lately for the past year or so. And, they understand what we are going through, that, coming from a small island, a small territory, it's very difficult for us to get bookings abroad. No matter how good our music is, we haven't been able to break those barriers quite as yet. We're getting there, definitely have weakened the wall significantly, and it's just a matter of time before we break out internationally, be on the same stage across the board as the Trinidadians and Bajans, etc. So, for us, again, coming from a small territory, we don't have the masses of people living, for example, we don't have tens of thousands of people living in Miami and New York and all around the world. So when a promoter, it's hard for him to book a St. Martin artist knowing that he's not going to get his return on investment. So a lot of times we have to come up with our own pocket, and we do it because, number one, we love it, and number two, we know that our music is good. We know that our product is good. We just need that one break, that one chance, also to network with other artists and to have the other nations and general people see us and see what we can do, and also make them come to St. Martin and see all what we have to offer.
This year's 50 years.
Definitely.
You gotta come Sunday.
Of course.
These guys ain't making no jokes of you.
Nah, man, I really got to tell them nothing. Everybody always puts out good music, great music over the past several years. Soca Rumble, of course, has been a magnificent and unexplainable how to explain really the platform that they have created. It has helped us significantly to get on this level and push our music beyond the competition, and that's what really it's all about.